So, welcome back. Um, I I listened to the comment, informal comment that it is too difficult. So I would kind of make them easier and try to cut out some of the material. Uh, but but I just want to emphasize one thing that I mean, our class try to teach you a little bit more frontier that some, of course, you may not understand fully, some of you understand, uh, we try to teach something that is more, have some technical difference, something different from undergrad you learn. But I would, in terms of assessment, right, I would try to make it accessible in the sense that I would try to, I mean, in the quiz, I would do multiple choice question where I would ask some of the technical, not technical, some of the definitional thing, and in terms of the final exam, then it will be like the MC multiple choice and also conceptual question, but also long question and asking you applying what we learn, right? I'm not expecting you to conducting something like drawing something more difficult thing, maybe some drawing graph or some kind of explanation like this will be asked you, right? And as many of you, right, say it depends. So basically, we are try to ask you to give more elaborate explanation, right? I mean, something may be without data, it's hard to say what might be the result, right? But you should be able to tell, right, under what condition this would be look like this or look like this is something that we are trying to convey, right? Because at least from this class, then you would learn the framework to do analysis, right? I mean, someone asks you, right, is this now the economy is doing good or bad? Then what would the prediction of the economy or the stock or the in general, right? You have to give some educated explanation, right? So this class is trying to give you the framework to think, right? The precise mathematical calculation is not something very important. The reason is not because not important by itself, but it's our class is a general class. So basically, we expect to give the framework idea of thinking, and the technical detail will be really dedicated to special class or elective class that will teach in more detail. So in terms of what we covered in the last class, I want to give you the idea that basically everything can be based on people making choice based on utility. We make some assumption utility, and they follow the maximizing utility for some objectives, right? And in the case of they're facing a market, choosing what to buy, right? At the end of the day, it's just they try to equate the trade-off, right? The market price gives the trade-off externally. MRS gives the internal trade-off, right? Same as a firm. The firm will try to achieve the production target, right? And they try to equalize, optimize. They try to equate the factor prices and internally the margin with technical substitution. Okay, but so let me go to the firm. I will do very quickly because just want to give you an idea how you derive the supply curve. And some of the reason that it become increasingly important, the question would be, some of you would be facing is AI. Right now, we know AI is going to be a lot there, right? Will be there in the future for sure, right? Look at all the Tesla, even not AI, but also the machine itself, the robotics, right? The problem is how it affects economy in general, right? So the question will probably how it change is actually can look at how we analyze the model. So if you remember before the break, right? That's the model we have, right? This isoquant is saying that given the production target of the firm want to produce Y unit of good, okay? This is the line is the combination of the labor and capital, right? That can do the same production, right? This is telling us how firm can combine the input and output, right? And this line is taking as how the firm can combine input and output, right? such that his total money spent is the same, right? This is the same, the budget, right? If you're given this budget, this is the labor and capital you can buy, right? And then you're shifting in the parallel with the one that where you the minimum cost, right? So the question is probably we might ask ourselves is automation, right? How it changed the structure here. And the question rely on how you think about the automation changes, right? Suppose AI. So, but before we do that, let me talk about two things first before go back to this one. Okay. The question is, you think is AI is going to be substitute or complement? Okay. It is very crucial to decide the fate of the labor. Okay. If the labor input is going to be substitute, then probably you're doomed, right? Because what is AI now is the cost of computing is very low, right? So basically it's almost like infinitely cheap labor, right? If what you can do can be easily replicated by the machine, then possibly firm will substitute, right? Because AI is much cheaper, right? In that case, what happened, right? In the case, this is the isoquant, right? So in the case that, okay, this is the price line, right? And if say, assume input 2 is machine or AI, right? AI is so cheap, right? It's like this way, right? So if you can think, if you flip in this way, right? Basically AI just make machine is very cheap, right? In the case that you just make it very steep, then your labor is will be very bad, right? So the substitute effect will basically kills a lot, right? Of course, if AI is going to be complement, right? Then probably you can actually imagine the case AI makes your production better, right? So it will basically shift this thing in. Why? Because with AI, to produce the same output, you need less, right? You less of that, right? Is that clear? Because you're getting more productive, right? And or you can imagine that with the AI, right? People getting more productive, right? Slightly, this little bit labor can produce a lot, right? So it is possible in that case, right? 1 unit of labor can produce a lot. Okay? So that means what? That means that your curve will look like it's more steep or less steep. Okay? Think in this way. Now, make our life easier. Think the following. Make it linear. Okay? Make our life easier. Think the following first. Suppose you are labor and capital. Okay? And suppose this point is here. Okay? Originally it's like this. Okay? It's perfect substitute. Okay? Now, AI there. What you expect your line to be? Yeah, it will be something like you need less labor, right? Less capital, right? Something like shift in, right? And let's draw all the way down to here, right? Okay. And it means what? So look at this way. So what? Suppose this is producing this much, okay? Now we are see how we are going to the AI going to change. More convex. Why? Convex means like this, lower, something like that. Why? Just ask. Yeah. So, um, so that means that if I give up 1 unit of labor, I increase a little bit capital, can do the same, right? So just like imagine I look this and look that, right? This is maybe will be downward, right? And is it going to be here or going to be somewhere else? Maybe higher, right? Somewhat here. Somewhere here, something like that, right? And assuming and then we can see how the equilibrium changes, right? Suppose initially, somewhere is here, right? This is our optimal production, right? So it depends on if you do the same, actually technology improve, actually you would need less labor and need less capital to produce, right? And if the demand is not going to change, the firm is going to produce the same unit of stuff, then it is always worse for labor, right? Because the production is the same, things become more productive, it's always worse for our wages. When it be good for people, only if the firm expand their production, right? Only the economy grow, then the production actually need to produce more, then you need to hire more labor, right? So it really depends on whether the economy is going to help us. Getting more productive actually may not be helping us, right? The AI actually may be acting more productive, right? But it really depends on how the market expand, right? But we'll talk about that very soon, okay? But you can see how things changes. Now, I'll talk about the theta market very soon, okay? But I'm not going to talk about this, okay? But instead, this is the thing that you learn undergrad, because many people think that I should connect more things to undergrad. So that's how I connect undergrad, right? Undergrad, what we learn is you give the cost function directly, okay? So basically what I do is trying to give you the right thing to do, right? Because in the undergrad, okay, they directly give you a cost function, okay? How much you produce, this is a cost function, right? You give me how much produce, how much cost I do. But they don't tell you that actually the labor and the capital, how they hire, how the price of the labor market, how the price of the stock market or the bonds market, because bonds market affect the cost of capital, right? Cost. Then how it affect the production, right? And usually undergrad, you just give the marginal cost and average cost, and this is what you get, right? So what I'm doing here is trying to give you the idea that undergrad, you have the average, the graph is the cost function, right? And don't give you why it comes from. And it actually comes from the cost minimization problem, right? For the firm, he choose the best combination of the capital and labor so that to minimize the cost. And how you minimize the cost is make sure that the trade-off, labor and capital, in your internal production, same as the factor prices, okay, same as a consumer. Okay, but I think a little bit, I mean, of course, I said give you foundation, probably you would think it's a little bit complicated. But what we actually need is this guy, okay? And this gives us the main thing about the upward sloping supply curve. Why? Okay. First is we can actually show, but we don't want to go to detail, but you can easily see that the marginal cost will, when you produce more, the marginal cost will go up. Okay, it may not be linear, but you can just you can see NP and same graph, but MC can be go up. Okay, and the marginal cost means you produce one more unit, how much you would be there. But how can you derive that MC or the AC? How can we do that? Okay. It's from this one. Okay. Now, how we derive this MC here? Very simple. Same as what we do. You just draw another Q of Y like this. Higher production. See where it cuts through, right? And you have to move from somewhere else, right? And you can see this is new combination of capital and labor, but you can calculate the total cost there. That's how you derive the marginal cost, right? Because if you change the production target, right, then actually you need to use more labor and capital, right? And the wage rate and the capital cost of capital remain fixed, so you just have to go up. Okay, and that is how this thing being derived. Okay, and this is how we derive this MC. Yes. Oh, need not be linear, just draw linearly. Can be curved. And y is increasing. The increasing comes from need not be okay. Okay, y increasing. So in general, it can be flat, can be downward, can be upward in general. But we will make some assumption to make it go up. And when it usually go up is we have what we call the it's called a diminishing return. So basically is you assume the second partial negative, those kind of stuff. It's like the idea is like simply speaking is you look at here, okay? Look at the isoquant, it's like more flatter and flatter. So if you look at here, if the curve look like this, then it's getting cheaper and cheaper, right? Then it look like the shape is look like this, then it'll go this way. Okay, I mean there's some assumption to make it work. That's called diminishing return. Just like you scale the production, then you get less. Okay, so that is assumption. So the assumption behind that how we derive this marginal cost is increasing, but it's in general this is true. And you probably ask why we have that, but you know anything, most of the thing in the real world that marginal cost is always increasing. And what is not increasing, and it's very common, is software. Intellectual property is not increasing. It's the most expensive, the first one, the rest will be zero. And that would be something covered later. But in generic thing, when we produce physical good, usually it's upward sloping. And that thing's cost, marginal cost zero, or other thing we can talk about later. But well, marginal cost is you produce nothing is nothing, so it's usually zero. But you need not be zero. But in general, that's I draw it. It's just a graphical can be anything, depending on how you assume the function. Yeah. So I mean, you can start from here. But so this is a typical cost curve. Okay. So basically, just go back once again because I probably may lost some of you. So how we derive the marginal cost curve is suppose I increase production. Okay. Then at the point there, right? Then I move from this point to this point, then my total cost actually expenditure increase. And how much you increase is the marginal cost. And usually that is what the shape looks like. Okay? And I'm not going to the detail because I guess nobody like the math detail, but the detail is basically a decreasing return to scale, diminishing marginal product mainly because of because diminishing marginal product and the factor price the same, then it's always like this. Okay. And why this is a pie curve? It's very simple. Okay. suppose firm is looking at the competitive market. Okay? Then what is his production? Later you will see the supply curve is indeed, we'll show again later. This is the supply curve. Okay? This upward sloping is actually the supply curve is just MC. Okay? Why? Because this is the cost you can produce, right? And market is competitive. So, and why I don't have this is if the market price is below this one, you can't even cover your FH cost, right? Then you don't do it. And above that, you will do it. And until what? The price is same as marginal cost, right? Because the price is how much you earn. Marginal cost is how much you pay, right? If price is less than marginal cost, then you produce more. If price less than marginal cost, you produce less. So that is the standard idea. It's a marginal. People think in marginal. We'll talk about that soon, but that will be some we will be doing. Okay, but I hope the cost management tell you why we have marginal cost, and from that, this is the final thing is why we have the supply curve is upward sloping, coming from directly from the increasing marginal cost. That's very simple. Okay, firm is a price taker. He had not affect the market, so the price is given. So what he's doing is decide how much to produce. PY is how much you can earn from selling Y unit, right? Because it's competitive market, he can sell as many as he wants. So the whatever Y he can sell at P, right? And this cost function, right? Just tell us what is the mean cost, the cheapest way to produce Y. Right? So we just choose the Y to minimize that. Right? So then you can do calculus, but I have argued already. If you produce 1 unit, the cost is MC. You produce 1 unit, you can sell for P, then you just gain P. As long as P is bigger than MC, you produce. Right? P is the same always, but MC is keep increasing. Right? So it's when P is smaller than MC, you produce. Produce, stop. Right? The same as how you eat the dinner, right? Or how you buy stuff, right? And currently the price is $10, the stock, right? You value, then you think it's value $10, okay? And the current price is $3. You buy in, right? You keep buying, the price keep go up, right? Until the market price same as what you think, you stop. Right? Same here. Right? How does the firm do the production? Look at the market, right? He produce, he get P, right? And the cost is the marginal cost, MC, right? You just change 1 unit, how it changed, right? It will be the optimal. Okay? So basically, you can see what you observe the market price in the competitive world is reflecting firm's marginal cost. Okay. So that would be the profit maximum. I will just skip this graph because I don't want to keep you difficult. So this is the main result because I want to show you the supply curve. Okay, and that is why I talk all the way to this here, because give you the foundation of how supply shift, right? And if the technology changes, how it affect? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Should be this line. Should be the marginal cost. Sorry. should be the marginal cost. The red one should be the marginal cost. Sorry. And marginal cost, sorry. But you will see how the technology change the marginal cost structure, which is supply curve, right? And if there's change in fixed cost, it would not change the supply curve unless firm exit. Yes. Oh, just money. Same thing. Prices. That's just money. That's the money. Oh, you can just say cost and money, right? Because money term. Just money or price, same thing. The same dimension anyway. You can change the price. Yeah, right. I mean, as you said, I should say price and cost, right? But you can see, as I said, right, if you increase the fixed cost, actually would not change the market structure, right? Suppose the following, right? Suppose the government try to give subsidy, fixed subsidy, right? Every firm get $1 billion. You will not change the supply curve. Nothing changes, right? Because they don't change the margin clause. All right, so that has to. But of course, if you give every firm to a lot of money every month, then probably some firm will come in. But there's not change. The marginal cost will determine the thing, right? Supply curve. So suppose the case, right? If every input become more expensive, it shouldn't change the supply curve, right? Generically, it means that if inflation happen, which increase wages and increase the cost of capital, it shouldn't change the supply curve at all. Okay? But in general, it's not true. Why? Because inflation would have different impact on the raw material prices, wage prices, and capital prices, right? And in general, wage is very inelastic. Why? Because the cost of capital, or the finance, right? The financial price is very flexible. But wages is very inflexible, right? So when inflation goes in, our wage usually don't follow that quickly, right? So inflation usually, it kills our salary, it reduces our real wages, right? But in general, employment can be helpful, right? Because relatively, labor is cheaper, right? Because raw material rise much faster than wage, right? Wage is grow very slow, right? So if you have inflation, okay, usually, if the market price keep adjusting, right, then that's good for firm, right? Firm can sell the product higher price, the raw material adjust lower, it's good, right? But the problem is whether inflation associated with increase in demand, right? Where often inflation will make people less willing to consume, right? Given everything the same. So that's why it depends on how you look at the problem, right? But you will see that the change in market price will change in marginal cost, and that's how it affects things. Okay? Or if there's AI, what you look at C, right? AI will make marginal cost cheaper, right? So every firm will produce more able to. Okay? And that means what? If you are inefficient firm, suppose the technology affecting the better firm more, then some of the firm actually go out of business, right? Because you shift down, you're not efficient. The curve doesn't shift down that fast compared to the market price job, then you're out of business, right? So that would be the prediction, right? So that you will see how the market looks like, because based on the marginal cost, right? Just look at how the trade-off, how this changes, then you see what happened, right? Or you can imagine the case where we have aging society, right? Everyone is not having baby, right? In the future, then what it means is labor costs would go up, right? Because there's fewer labor to do production, right? And what does it mean for the marginal cost? Right? Suppose technology doesn't change that much, right? Then the supply curve, the MC, will shift up, right? So there's less product to produce, right? So that would be something that you expect, right? As look at this supply curve. Okay, of course, demand will change as well. So, but now let us quickly combine the supply and demand. I'm not going to talk about the math. I make it technical. So this law of supply simply means how you look at the supply curve, right? We already tell you that this is just basically a marginal cost curve, right? Marginal cost gives the supply. That's it. Nothing very deep here. Okay. And as a self-test, let's ask this question. Think carefully. Suppose, consider a firm who provide financial service. You can imagine iBank or the broker or whatever, or credit agency. What are the input-output of the firm? Okay. How supply chain would change? How AI will change production? Are AI going to be substitute or complement? Let's ask the first question. Consider the case the financial firm may be investment bank. Okay, what's input and output? What are the inputs? Labor. What else? Capital. Yes. So yes, very simple, right? But what is output? What's output of investment bank? Service. PowerPoint, yeah, PowerPoint, yes, PPT, yeah, PPT is also important, right? The consultant firm is also the same, the PPT is smarter, right? PPT. Then the question would be, the supply curve come from the marginal cost, right? So what would change the supply curve? How would change the supply curve? Consider the case where we have blockchain, cryptocurrency, AI. What would change the supply curve? So suppose now put it this way, pretty easier. Now the US Federal Reserve say next year the interest rate goes down. Is it going to change the supply curve or not? Remember one thing, supply curve is determined by marginal cost. Okay? And also the technology, right? Both things, right? Marginal cost and technology, right? And marginal cost depend on the production technology and also the factor prices. Okay? Think about it in this way. US Federal Reserve reduce the interest rate, the Fed fund rate, right? Or the discount rate, whatever you think. And is it going to consider investment bank in Hong Kong or US, whatever? Is it going to affect his labor costs? Wages? They are going to change wages of the investment banker. Is it going to change the cost of capital? Yes. Then make it lower the interest rate is going to make it cheaper or expensive? Cheaper. So then how does it affect the marginal cost? Lower. So the supply will be going to be increased, right? So it shift to the right, right? So that would be something you expect to see, right? And suppose now we have computer is faster, right? That's what happened, right? Computing power is less, but more. How does it affect the supply curve there? More efficient. It's changing which diagram, you think? It's changing more efficient. It's going to change this guy, right? Right? So it basically make everything cheaper, right? Or you don't think on this way. You can think about marginal cost, right? The marginal cost will shift down, right? And if we said, right, the investment banking, they would rely on computer, right? Suppose computer is kind of substitute or complement, right? Suppose it's substitute, then what happened? You would hire more banker or less banker? Less banker, okay? Then then that's what we predict, right? Right? Then that will be the way we do analysis, right? We just like try to look at how you affect the marginal cost, right? And the question is whether AI is going to change the production. It depends on somebody complement, right? If complement is going to increase your wage, right, at the end, right? Because we don't talk about that, but your wage will be based on your production level, right? So that would be the thing, because I just skip this part, I guess. I don't want to go too deep. So the next one is talk about partial equilibrium. Okay, just to combine demand and supply. Okay, I don't want to go into too deep. Okay, there's some math there, but don't worry, there's nothing. Just the way to talk about things more precisely, but that's basically no math. Basically, just the notation there. So you can see we have demand for each individual. We derive, right? People have preference, and we talk about that's individual demand, right? And what's market demand? It's just horizontal allocation, right? At this price, how much you want? At this price, how much he want? Right? The market will just adding up everyone's want, right? And that is very easy, right? Just how much you want, how much he want, how much they want is a market. But what is important here is, which is not discussed often in the undergrad, is each one's demand depends on his income, right? So the total market demand depends on everyone's income, right? It's depends on income of you, income of him, income of everyone. So why this is important? Because I think in the old days when China opened to the world, right? One thing they often quote is, we will get rich when we go to mainland China. What's the reason? We have 1.3 billion people. If everyone give me $1, I have 1.3 billion. Right? That's standard argument. What's wrong with the argument? Why don't everyone get 1.3 billion? That's very rich, right? What's wrong with the argument? No, I mean, suppose you can produce something, right, that worth $1 or $2, you can, right? You can make $1 from each one, right? So what's wrong with this argument? Why don't everyone got rich? Well, the GDP is very high. Divided by the average GDP is very high, right? Look at how much GDP in China. Anyone have? Yeah. Even divided 1.3 billion is a lot of money. So, is the problem of this is the distribution. Is not everyone have $1 to pay you. Okay, so is the distribution is matters, and usually it's not included in the undergrad. Right, undergrad tell you this income, of course, affect your demand, but because adding up everyone, so the distribution of income is important. Right, it's not about in aggregate has how much money there, but it's whether enough people have this money. Okay, so that I mean, I think everyone knows it, but this logic is not really well spelled out in undergrad, right? Because they say income goes up, but you don't know about the composition of income. That's important. Okay, and also the composition of taste is also important, right? Maybe they're $1, but they don't like your stuff, right? I think there's a old idea, right, saying that there are some shoemakers, two shoemakers go to Africa, right? One come back say, oh, the market is huge, and the other guy come back, no way, the market is nothing, right? The market is huge, that everyone knows shoes, then we can sell shoes to everyone. The other one say, okay, everyone knows shoes and no demand. So what's right? Who is right? Okay, who think guy number one is correct? Who think there's a lot of demand in Africa? Who think there's no demand in Africa? So what is not you're saying? So what do you think? So how do you suppose? You learn economics, right? So suppose you are looking at the shoe company. Say suppose you look at Li Ling. Suppose, right? Say you want to expand to overseas. What's they doing, right? So suppose you want to go to a country which is friendly to China. That's what they do, right? Go to Pakistan, go to Iran, go to those countries, right? That's natural they do, right? Because so what do you think? Do they have market or not? Yes. So what you are suggesting is change the preference. That's very good because they don't think about the shoes. If you can change the preference and the market is huge. Exactly. What else? That's very good. That's a very good idea. But do you think they have income to buy? You cannot create income because it's Li Ling's just company, it's not a government. So changing income is very difficult. It might be possible, but I see. But we're talking about how to sell that. But it's fine. We're talking about change the production there, right? That's okay. But do you think if that strategy will be used, it's okay to sell the shoes to the those countries? Is it going to be profitable or not? Going to work or not, right? Right, but the first thing is the demand, right? If you don't have demand, then you can't say anything. So I'm just simply asking, is there the demand there? The shoes, okay? Good. So, but the problem is that there are quality shoes that can support, say, Li Ling, premium brand in China. So they can sell $1,000 RMB for one shoes. So then, do you think Li Ling, suppose Li Ling go there, do you think that they can do it or no? But they have but if you look at the classical thing, income is huge. That's this place. If you can divide number of people, the GDP there is not low. But the problem is distribution of income. Also the taste, as you said, right? Only the rich, only the medium, there may be middle class people like to buy the expensive shoes, right? So that would be, of course, preference can be through marketing or education, right? Income properly you can't do too much, right? But just to give you an idea why marketing will be important, right? There's some reason why marketing is there. And the supply function, okay? And supply is upward sloping. Remember, supply is depend on marginal cost, right? The QS is marginal cost, right? The K firm there, right? Again, it's adding up everyone, right? At this price, you want to supply this 10 units, the other guy want to supply 20 units, right? Add together 30 units, right? And one thing that is often you didn't look careful enough, right, is of course this marginal cost depends on cost structure, but it's also depend on number of the firm, right, because more firm is there, right? So it also depends on the technology, right? Because usually you talk about X firm is there, this is the supply curve, but don't talk about the distribution of technology there, right? That is very important in order to see the market supply looks like, right? It's often omitted when you do analysis and demand supply, right? Because demand supply is the market demand supply, not individual firm and individual consumer. And you aggregate, there's something to aggregate there. Have to look at the micro level in order to understand what's going on. Okay. So finally, we talk about the equilibrium. Okay. The equilibrium, often in economics, we talk about short run and long run. Okay. In our case, I think in economics, short run and long run simply is the way that we think about the problem. Short run is not so short, long run is not very long, but just saying that when we, that's planning horizon. When short run means something you can't change. You think about, say, I sign a contract with a landlord that how long I'm going to rent this place. Then when I think about the planning horizon within this period, then it's short run. Long run means that I can sign new contract, everything is free. Okay? And usually when we talk about short run, means that the market structure remains the same. Long run means allow firm enter exit. Okay? And that's usually what you observe in the world that we try to analyze. Is this is the market demand, market supply. Okay? The intercept gives you the equilibrium price and quantity. Right? Just remember how we get this demand curve. Right? It's based on people's utility. Right? Indifference curve, the marginal, the thick one. And for the firm, the supply curve come from the marginal cost. Right? And in this case, this part is the profit, okay, from the firm, okay, and that's how you can see, right? In the short run, there will be some profit there, okay, and because of the fact that there's entry barrier, right? That no firm can enter, so firm can make profit, right? And if the market is free, right? People will come in, right? More firm would enter. More firm enter would drive the supply curve right. Would drive the price down until the minimum point. So in general, that you see in the long run, there will be something like this. Okay. So this is something observed in the real. You expect this would happen, right? In the long run, the price will be just the lowest FH cost. No one can make any profit if you cannot stop them coming in, right? So what's the moral of this story is like firm would try the best to persuade no firm enter, right? To maintain when there's a license, then it will be super profit, right? That means that's why we have Hong Kong Electric, right? China Power has made so much money, right? Because, right, they don't allow enter, right? And you look at the case in Singapore, they open up the power market, so the price goes down quite a bit, right? So when you open up, then things become less attractive, right? Look at the case of the Macau, the casino, right? Before it was just only one casino license, but after they open up, right? They're still licensed, but the price drop, right? So that is. But if you all allow free, then the profit will be zero. So that's how you would observe. And possibly this is more economics, right? But probably you want to ask how we are going to use this to analyze our economy or industry, okay? And that is the question, okay? Let's think about this during the break. Okay, the question is like the following, okay? Now, this is very often we are thinking about is we look at the news, look at the economic growth, inequality, how the price of input turns to breakthrough, entry barrier, how does it change the firm profitability? Why you care about this? Because you are looking at the financial market, the stock market, right? The stock market eventually, we will talk about later, is the price of the stock actually reflecting how much money the firm is going to get, right? At least some component of the price of the stock is going to be reflecting the fundamentals, right? And in that case, the fundamental depend on the market competition, right? And how this affecting the market competition, right? So suppose the economic growth, how does it affect the price of the stock, right? And the problem of investment, probably everyone would agree, is not having the stock that price increase, but you want your stock actually beat the market, right? Because if you just behave as if like the benchmark index, then probably you are not going to, you'll get fired, right? Or right, why you need the active investor, right? Your passive fund, right? So the problem is economic growth, of course, it's going to likely increase the every single stock. But the problem is how it affects your relative performance. Let's suppose the economy is going good. Everyone is happy. Okay? But which industry will be more happier? So put it this way. Now economy is bad. Okay? Getting bad, suppose it's getting worse. Okay? Consider restaurant. Which type of restaurant will benefit? Which type will be worse off? Or they go all worse off, or go better off? Mm-hmm. So the idea here is inferior good and normal good idea, right? So the economy is bad, income reduced, people would spend on normal good, so spend less on normal good, spend more inferior good. Okay, that's what happened. Right? This very natural agreement, natural argument, right? So you would expect if you Hong Kong, probably you would less likely to buy Maximum, right? If they have the stock there, but they're not on you probably would buy more on 呢個大快活 what's the name 大家樂 right? You will buy more of those, right? And this is very good, okay? But probably one thing worth concern is there are one inferior good as well, which is Shenzhen, right? So in that case, then every stock will go down, right? If you then depends on how the people substitute for that inferior good, right? Or depends on the market's cost structure. Some firm may exit, right? Then probably may help. It really depends, but you have to look at the data to or the estimation to look at it, right? Look at income inequality, right? And do you think the inequality goes up or down these days? Goes up. Why? So the economy going bad. So is it going to increase inequality or reduce inequality? That's a good. I think that's a good question to guess. Increase why? Okay. So the overall inequality can increase, but it is not, usually it's not the overall inequality matters for your business. Because suppose I have a restaurant, probably rich guy Lee Ka-sing is not going to come to my one, right? The one relevant is the middle class and also the grassroots, right? So in case now economy is bad, what do you think? Is inequality goes up or down in that case? Yeah, it decreases, right? So then how does it change the market outcome then? Suppose you are a restaurant here, suppose you're analyzing that, right? So what's the outcome there? What's the prediction? Mm. Okay. Yes. And so there's a other thing, right? Price of input, okay, and technology breakthrough and entry barrier. You can think of the way to analyze the stock, right? Because I guess it's the many of you would be able to, if we give you the income flow, future income, then you can discuss. But these are the model can more or less tells you how the market changes, right? You can analyze the industry and which industry to pick up, right? Because look at the case where entry barrier changes, right? Then you will see how how the industry in profit goes up or down, or how particular which firm will benefit or not. Then you can do analyze, right? Because of course, many of you would be, when you do analysis, it will be given by someone will give you, right? But the problem is you probably have to know how they come up with those numbers, right? I mean, in general, you will see, I mean, this demand and supply is there, right? Probably you would have some assumption on the demand for a product, demand for the supply, market supply curve, and you can estimate the cost and you can tell those things, right? You can predict how much they make, right? And then you can do a prediction there, right? Based on the financial data there, right? But probably you would know that, but what I want to emphasize here is different from undergrad. You should look at individual level, look at the market level. You have the model, the spreadsheet, look at all the firms there. You can do the prediction because the distribution is very important. Okay, so I think I open a little bit, so I leave this slides. We'll talk about this after the break. Okay, you can see we try to apply this to the finance industry, okay? And you can try to tell how this thing changes. Okay? This is a type of question that I would expect you to like to how to answer. Okay, so that's why I keep doing this kind of idea. Okay, so let's a break of 15 minutes and we'll come back.
产一个东西比较便宜，所以平均成本差不多。就当它一样的时候，它在上升的时候，它的担心你现在第一个比它平衡，所以它的比较低的时候。哦，可以，没所谓，都可以，没所谓，你可以给别人，都可以。但是为了这个的话，因为 marginal cost 的被错了，生产的一个东西比现在都不能差价。当它一样的时候，那就一样，就往上的话，它就different price。你就怎么生产？现在快一点，你生产成本很低，有生产的，我在卖，在生产所以就是你的 supply curve 都是你的 model cost， 对，每生产一个单批嘛，每成本就是你的 MC 嘛，就是生产到对，所以 model cost 是你的 supply curve。哦，你有两个做法，一是你自己的分，二是你这个第一跟这个一样，对，相当于已经是积分后的 average cost。对，因为积分完就会这么做。然后就再乘以一个。但是你生产的时候就有这个 marginal cost， 你 average cost 没有 ，average cost 决定你要不要进来这个 market， 对吧 ？average cost the price above the average cost， 就你是我再講一啲，我一陣間，我咩，講到我好簡單，頭先就其實係咁嘅啫，你有 labour， 咁如果你要生產 Y 咁多嘢嗰陣時咧，就係呢啲所有嘅組合咧都係可以生產到嘅。咁你跟住嗰個 wage rate 跟呢個 cost of capital 就揾到唔同嘅 line， 咁呢個你係最低嘅一個生產。咁如果你而家增加生產，你咪會揾一條新嘅線，咁你咪新嘅一點啦。咁你新嘅一點就係你呢個同呢個嘅生產成本係同 marginal cost， 咁你畫咗一條 marginal cost。咁 marginal cost 嘅話就係叫做 supply cost， 因為點解咧？你生產你個 marginal cost 喺度啦，你生產一嚿嘢，你就賺到P咁多錢啦。你嘅成本就係咁多嘢，咁你咪做咯。你一路咁做，一路咁整，都係做，你低過你都係做啊嘛。咁啊做啊，到呢一度啊，咁你咪去做咯。譬如話你呢個係10蚊，呢個係2蚊，你咪做咯。3蚊你就做啦，4蚊你就做，5蚊你就做，6蚊你就做，咁做9蚊，咁你做10蚊你咪做咯。所以以前俾你邊個 P 嘅時候，佢生產幾多，生產幾多嘢。所以拍出嚟你俾幾多錢你生產幾多嘢。supply curve 係呢個一樣。唔係你喐咗呢個，嗱你喐咗呢個，你喐咗，但係連埋嗰個 minimum cost 連埋晒就係嗱你如果生產咁多嘢嗰陣時，你有 X，譬如話生產咁多個 labour one。 多個 capital one，咁你嘅生產成本係咩？就係 W 嘅 L1 再加 W 再加 R 嘅 K1。咁如果你生產呢嚿嘢嗰陣時，個成本係咩？L K2咁啦，咁咪就係 C 一呢個 C 2 W L 2再加 R K2啦。咁你減咗佢咪個 marginal？咁咪都係一定上一定加㗎嘛，因為你上啊嘛。呢個係每一個 unit 嘅 profit。佢哋咪要做到個 profit 先。唔係，如果 given 呢個 price， given 呢個 price 好，呢個只係話俾你聽。經常嚟講咧，因為啲 M 值啦，咁你就要考慮 AC 㗎嘛。FH cost 即係你有啲固定成本㗎嘛，即係就有講實有啲冇計，即係 marginal cost 同我冇關係㗎嘛。你生產你幾多個同嗰間你租金冇關係㗎嘛，租金固定㗎嘛。variable cost 簡單嚟講 ，AC 嘅話就係 overhead 加埋 overhead， 即係 total cost。DC 加 FC， 但係 MC 就只係 variable cost， 你 change 減翻 change， 所以就 variable cost。可以咁。你生產幾多決定 variable cost， 因為你嗰啲廠成定嗰啲唔理佢㗎嘛，即係你生產幾多人用邊間價點解有啲鋪頭係朝頭早唔開，或者夜晚開因為錢賺，咁但係佢係開唔開佢哋今日佢就今日開嚟都冇，cover 咗單可能佢 cover 咗租金啫，cover 咗。而 B 個就係 C 二減 C 啊，係 C 二減 C 啊，或者係啦 C 二減 C 啦，就呢個 C 啦，咁呢度打直呢個，呢條強咯。即係我會每個增加一個 unit，譬如由0到1就加幾多，跟住1到2就加幾多。即係其實我哋係咁嘅。可以咁嘅，冇所謂嘅，會咁畫嘅啫。呢度可以計咯，因為你唔會，你呢度唔會報，因為你低過你唔會報標㗎嘛，呢咪成日錢，啲人哋都 cover 唔定嘅。係啦，就咁。因為喺做嘅話，你唔會做㗎嘛，你會拜拜。除非你話我冇得退租嘅啫，但係一定退租㗎啦。所以好簡單，直觀咁諗，邊知有可能係一條 linear。可以 linear 我即係方便畫嘅。公仔要1蚊，10蚊就10蚊，所以就 linear 啦。係啊，但係有啲情況就唔一定 linear 嘅，意思可以唔 linear。正常都唔 linear 嘅，因為你通常都係數據，因為你都先嚟睇到。我哋可以平，有機會平。但係如果平嘅話，佢係可以 flat 嘅，係可以嘅。我做過啫。不過咧就係經常嚟講咧就即係都特別 flat。如果係 flat 嘅話就咁就唔好。經常係 flat 嘅，因為點解唔 flat？因為你請咗，因為你機器有限制㗎嘛，最緊要最大係從健康嚟講咧，最大我頭先我冇講到 CEO 嗰條友咁得閒㗎嘛，你係咁急我得上嘅話，佢係做唔到㗎嘛，有幾多群幾多群聲㗎？即係譬如話生產咁多嘢嗰陣時，嗰條友頂唔順㗎已經，個咩就頂唔順，個機器頂唔順。之前我係咁做過，一日24個鐘嗰啲入邊，你再請係咁加班嘅，所以佢係會簡單嚟講，但係有咁嘅嘢嘅，譬如話即係我 software 嚟講咯，我冇特別㗎，佢可以隨便編聽。點解有熟話？其實我講嘅，因為你生產第一嚿嘢嘅費用，生產10嚿嘅工人，你開佢哋嘅費用。所以佢呢個咧，咪即係要做個人本，你要做直工制，定額去做，因為你
So let's try to answer this question. Oh, I think we have a foreign exchange market. Sorry, foreign exchange market. So suppose we talk about the foreign exchange market. Maybe okay, just the exchange store on the street, right? So often you can see this 外幣找換店, right? So what are the market participants in this model? Who are the demand? Who are behind the demand? Who are behind the supply? Suppose we're talking about, make it simple, right? Suppose we're talking about things that change Hong Kong dollar to renminbi, right? That's standard thing. Or maybe easier. People go to Japan, right? Often here, right? Change to Japanese yen. Okay. So who are behind the demand, who are behind supply? Sorry? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what will change the demand, what will change supply then in your model? Okay. 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 Good. So suppose we have information technology, right? So we have people have virtual bank with app. How does it change the competitive landscape? Yeah, for the retail market, right? Not the wholesale, but just like the retail. So how does it change? What do you think? Oh yeah, you have some entry, yes, right? Some entry, right? So for this one, you have to think very carefully about who we're talking about, right? Because this is a little bit complicated issue because foreign exchange market, what is trading here is money, right? You're trying to exchange, say, renminbi or Hong Kong dollar renminbi or Hong Kong dollar to yen, right? And those people who want yen will be the, suppose you want to talk about the yen, right? Look at the market, right? Those people supply the yen, right? And those people who want to have Hong Kong dollar, right? Depends on demand supply, depend on what market you're looking at, right? And and in this particular model, it looks like a little bit very complicated, right? Because how people would be demand supply also like the stock market, right? You want to is also because exchange market is also a investment thing, right? So this market is super complicated because people would buy or sell depend on the price, right? And also the more complicated thing is interest rate, right? Because interest rate is set up by government as well. So government is also part of the thing, right? So someone said also, our classmate said, right, the investment banker or the exporter, importer, those are people who need, right? But the main thing is import exporter would be the main people who are behind, right? So that's why this, indeed, right, we look at the data, right? Actually trade, international trade, the direction actually would affect this a lot, besides the central banker, right? The retail, yeah, but they are participant. But what actually changed the demand supply, right? Those will be very important, right? Because they are the one, right? And so you have to be. We can talk about this more, but I think this is just live here. But you can see this, the complicated part is it's not easy to see because there's no production, right? Who's produce money? right? For central bank can print money, right? But it's not clear what is that here, right? But you can talk about the production of the service provided by the exchanger, right? But actually the retailer, what is doing, right? He collect money from everyone. He try to trade, right? And he take the risk of trading in the wholesale market, right? Look, imagine a bank. Go to the bank, you change money. What are you going to do? The bank will give you a bid-ask spread, bid-ask prices. Then you trade with them, and the bank will just balance in the wholesale market, right? That is what actually is, right? Different from stock, right? Stock, in the stock market, right? You just trade with the other counterparty, right? But in this thing, you actually trade with the bank or the retail exchanger directly, right? So the production, it actually depends on the risk capacity of that guy, right? And look at how he expect the future, right? The supplier is that guy, right? And the demand is those people who want RMB, who want US dollar, who want whatever. They are all people who the demand, right? Because he just trade with everyone, right? And how change the demand, right? As I said, right? There are many demand there, right? He face, right? And supply also depend on people come in and out, right? Because it also change the money, right? And as we see, right, when more technology, then the market become very competitive, right? Because many people comes in and marginal costs go down and then attract more people, the rent goes down, so on and so forth. But I hope that would clear a little bit, right? Because this is very interesting because it's not traditional product, right? There's not actually there's no one actually creating anything, but there's creating a surface there, right? The exchanger actually creates surface. What surface they're creating? Is you can buy or sell immediately. That is what liquidity, right? The surface is basically liquidity, right? Because they can set the price infinite high, infinite low, or not trading at all, right? The exchanger actually providing you can buy or sell at there, right? So that is the product they are providing that service to you, right? So that is actually they're creating, right? It's more like dealer, right? It's actually dealer. They call it the dealer's market, right? The one is producing the service, providing liquidity that everyone can come in, buy or sell, right? Accordingly, right? So that would be the thing behind. So just, but you can see the demand and supply, right? As well, right? Because the supply depend on how he can, suppose he is changing US dollar, or suppose it's Hong Kong dollar to yen, right? And depend on how many yen he has, right? And how much he acquired those become his supply side, right? Because his supply will depend on the wholesale market, right? Suppose you want to use Hong Kong dollar to exchange for Japanese yen. What's the cost of doing it, right? You look at the price in the wholesale market down there, right? And then add some padding or risk factor. This is a marginal cost, right? That's how you come, because the exchanger is not creating the cash, right? He's get the cash from somewhere else, right? So that determines his supply. And demand, of course, depend on people want to exchange, right? And that is come from demand. Okay? And of course, if the outside market change, his supply curve shift up or down, right? If the international market fluctuate, his bid-ask spread will be much larger, right? Because you take a lot risk, right? Marginal cost goes up. The bid-ask spread is his profit, right? So that's why he has to charge a wider spread, right? And I hope that convince you, right? And if you have information technology, then your bid-ask spread will be less, right? Because the bid-ask spread represents his profit. I hope this try to answer you some question. When there's no demand supply, actually you can still look at that, right? Because you think about how they can produce currency, right? Who are wanting the currency. So still the same thing, right? Although it looks difficult to analysis, but you think carefully, demand supply works very well there, right? And probably you ask another question is how the wholesale market is being determined, right? But in general, that would depend on international trade, right? or the central banker, the national player who intervene in the market, those things. But otherwise, the local retail market is determined by the big environment and how people want to buy or sell, right? So that's the thing. There's a IO thing. I guess I would. I don't want to go into this one because I skip because I think the time constraint. I just skip this part. So what I want is, well, I skip is not because they're not important. I'll cover that in game theory, so that's why it will be there. Don't worry, that will be there. Okay. What I want to talk about the multi-code market. Okay. So far, we're talking about first class. We talk about comparative statistics, right? And we just before the break, we talk about this demand and supply, right? We focus on single market. Okay. But the problem is often we know things change multiple market, right? And it will spill over from one market to the others. Okay? And that is often the question in finance, right? Everything is interrelated, right? So you often see that when price of one stock goes up, the other also affected, right? Or one goes down, the other affected. Or the stock market is affected by the bonds market, or the oils market, so on and so forth, right? And why that's the case? Why? So suppose why the way often is the oil market. Why the oil market price fluctuation affect the stock market? You guys are expert, right? But better than I'm academic economist. You guys are practitioners, so you should be able to tell me. It affects, sorry. It affects the supply of in the future. So how is this? How is it the case? How it affects? So more specific. Can you be more specific? Okay. So what it said is the following, right? Basically, what you are talking about is basically more or less like this graph. So basically, the oil price goes up, right? And oil price goes up means the marginal cost of firms actually goes up. And some of the firm that is closer to have a inefficient will out of business, or they will get less production than the so that means that one thing would shift the other, right? Or in general, that's what you see, right? So what you are saying is basically oil is car production other factor, right? And the oil price doesn't change any production technology, right? So what you would see here is originally maybe this is optimum production here, right? And now oil is getting more expensive. What you see will be something like the curve, right? Will be more expensive, right? So it means that for the same production, you will only get this line, right? Because what's this here is the total cost over the price of oil, right? P of oil, right? Prime, right? TC, total cost, right? Primes of oil, right? So we increase it, we drop. Okay. So what does that mean here, right? It means that several things. One is the marginal cost go up, right? If you still produce this one, the cost actually goes up. And also there will be some substitution effect here, right? Because people will use less oil, if possible, right? So they would, oil goes up, maybe use coal, maybe use solar energy, right? So there's several things goes on here, right? But regardless of what you can see is this quantity, this is the price, right? The marginal cost is AC, right? It's marginal cost, right? And by default, the marginal cost would anyway goes up, right? That means the supply curve will shift for the industry you're concerned, right? And some firm, if suppose the product price is not going to change, right? Then your profit margin drop. Why? Because your average cost is going to go up, right? And if the market price is here, right? Before this is your profit, right? And now your profit become this one, right? Your profit become this is your new profit, right? So your profit goes down. Suppose the company is still using the oil, right? For oil using company, that's what you observe. And looking at this diagram, if you have able to estimate marginal cost, FH cost, which is possible using the financial data, right? You can estimate how the impact of the company, then you can come up with the new estimate, right? That's usually how analysts, right? They analyze the market, right? That's how they can maybe even more elaborate, but that's how you can look at the model, right? And don't forget there's a something unobserved thing as I see, right? If the oil more expensive, there will be substitution effect, right? Because people will use other factor as well, right? And that also means that if you are doing alternative energy, actually your boost is better, right? That is not come from supply, that come from demand, right? More people will buy your stuff. Okay, so if you try to draw it in the standard diagram, right? That's what you will. That's what you will see, right? So let's draw a diagram, the demand supply diagram, right? Suppose as we have said, this is price and quantity for the oil market, right? And usually you have a demand curve and the supply curve, right? And you may ask, what is behind the supply versus the demand for the oil, right? Producing the oil depends on the marginal cost, right? Look at oil thing, right? Oil, how much they drill, right? And the demand depends on how people would like to do it, right? And the question is, why the oil price increased? Can be many reasons, okay? Maybe there's some oil spill or whatever, supply reduced, right? Maybe there's something the very standard is there's fire in the drill, right? And that's what happened, right? That's what happened is that's what you see, right? The drill goes up there, right? That's what you see, right? That's how we draw. And then next thing is how does it affect the industry that produce based on oil, right? Is the manufacturing, right? The how manufacturing, how does it affect? We just argue already. This is again the supply. Sorry, this is the demand. Okay, and oil become more expensive. Don't make them change the demand, right? But you would change the supply because it's more costly to produce, right? Then you would observe what happened. Supply shift to the left, right? Let's go this one. This is what you expect, right? And other way around, if you look at this is the solar energy or wind energy or whatever, right? They would also have demand and supply as well. How does it affect this market, right? Because of the substitution, right? But substitution affecting in the production level, right? The production level will be people would, because more expensive, they will substitute. So they would have more demand on the solar energy, right? The solar energy price would also go up, right? So that would be the thing to analyze, right? So you can look at this model, how this thing shift, right? The idea is to explain why the curve shift, right? Because I give the foundation, what gives the supply, what gives demand, then you can explain this clearly, okay? And because I give the foundation, you can actually tell how they shift, right? Because before you just say, okay, this shift. But how can you quantify those? Okay? You can't really simply say this is demand curve, okay? This supply curve, okay? Trust me, this is my demand curve. This is the supply curve. You can't do that, right? And supply curve, demand curves must be coming from some cost calculation or some people how they like your product. From that you can tell, right? Because very often supply and demand curves shift together, right? Because in this model, we don't talk about one thing. We then say in the long run, if oil price keep moving, people wage also goes up, right? Because people ask for higher wages because inflation, right? And labor also change. I mean, a lot of things changes as well, right? And how does it change, right? And suppose in this case, right, solar power also got more expensive. The manufacturer maybe even get worse off, right? And how it changed, you have to depends on your model, okay? And these are why in the US there are many economists working for consulting firm. Is basically they do this kind of thing, okay? Some of you ask, how can I get this kind of equation, okay? You can do that, it's very expensive, right? It asks many Ph.D. to derive all this equation, right? And this equation is very valuable. I mean, estimating the demand supply curve and how they shift is something that costs a lot of money, right? But if you're able to have those data, you can estimate those, okay? And okay, it's not something like I sit on the chair can tell you what's going on. You need to go data, okay? And our class is not data, so I cannot tell. We cannot teach you those, but it is in principle how you do it, right? But what I give you is what's the model behind is the production technology and also people's preference, okay? And you model those, then that is behind, okay? So and one thing that I want to briefly talk about, okay, because I don't have time, so I think I will skip this part, but I will tell you the main idea behind. Okay. So probably I will later create a version of slide that keep only thing I taught. That would be easier. But I will still keep this because I think something is omitted is not very good. But because of time constraint, we have to trade off. So one thing that I want to talk about is what we call general equilibrium. We don't have time to talk about it. What's general equilibrium there? The thing is, in the world, there's many markets together, and they're interrelated. Okay, how can we get a price that makes sure that demand and supply are equal? Right? You can imagine there are many equations you need to solve, make sure that demand match supply. Right? And the question is there a single price that clear all the market? Okay? historically, economists thought about that, just solving system equation. You have a n equation, n unknown, yes. And turn out that it's way much more complicated because you have n equation, n unknown. You don't need to have solution, right? So the first approach that done by economists is done by Arrow and De Brue in 1954, and they got Nobel Prize. And why I want to mention this, because my advisor's advisor is De Brue. So that's why I need to mention, otherwise doesn't feel right. But other thing is why it's important is because this gives you the foundation of what the financial market. Okay? And one of the question is, if the market is so efficient, right? And why we have so many different type of security, right? Or have stock, we have bond, we have derivative, with so many crazy exotic stuff. Okay? Why we just have one thing and do it for all? Okay? And why there's so much fluctuation in the real world, right? Because one of the puzzle, what we see is the stock market have higher variance than the actual economy, right? Look at GDP fluctuation and the financial market fluctuation, right? Because stock market change daily. I don't think you think the firms will change daily, right? So what is happening behind? Okay, and that's behind. You have to look at this literature telling you why this would happen. The main idea is because what we call the market is incomplete. We talk about we don't have time to talk about it, but this is the underlying framework is incomplete market. It's because of not everything is traded, and that gives rise a lot of security design that try to make the market more efficient. So you can see Hong Kong, right? There's a lot of option, there's a stock, and what is the name of Ao Hong Jing, right? Those kind of warrant, right? And those kind of things actually try to solve the problem, right? Because the stock, right? Sometimes you can buy, you can sell, right? In Hong Kong, right? You can buy all the stock you can buy, you have money, but short sale there's some restriction, right? The market is not complete, right? So you have some kind of this kind of warrant to try to solve this problem, right? So that means that a lot of things that try to comes out is because of this, right? Because of or you can look at the Chicago market. They sell commodity, right? The futures, right? Because of your farmer, right? You want to hedge the future risk, right? Then you can go there to say futures, right? But not every single future is there, right? There's a commodity you can trade, right? But you cannot say have a future for hamburger for McDonald's, no, right? You cannot have a future for a red wine from particular winery, right? So you don't have that. Okay, you cannot have a future for mooncake, I guess. Maybe you can buy, but you cannot sell, right? So there's something there, but I don't have time to talk about those. And what in this literature say is, I think I have to mention this too, because this is I think it's the single most important thing in classical economics, is what we call the welfare theorem. It's saying that if the market is competitive, it is good. In a good, it means that there's no way to improve it without harming others. That is called the Pareto efficient. Okay? Pareto efficient is no way to reallocate your resources in the way that improve someone without harming others. There's no way win-win, better win-win. Okay? There's no win-win. Okay? No better way to win. Okay? If I win, then someone lose. Okay? The market is efficient in the sense that if you try to improve someone, you can make someone worse off. Okay, you have to make someone worse off. So that is the, unless you say you can worse off someone, their market is already good. Okay, that's the first welfare theorem. And why we want to mention this is because we have a second welfare theorem, which said that every Pareto efficient, which means that every situation that win-win is explored, no more win-win can be done, okay, can be sustained by the market. Okay, so which means that if you are able to believe the market is good. Okay, so why this is important is the assumption is not about the math behind is important, but rather is what assumption behind the market is good. Okay, so just like the efficient market hypothesis we learned in the first class, right? We talk about markets almost efficient, and we learn when it's not efficient. Or you learn something in corporate finance. Probably some of you will know what we call the MM theory, right? MM theory will tell you that no matter the way you have capital by equity or by bond, the cost of the weight of you funding the company doesn't make a difference. And that's starting point to say if things are violated, what you see. Okay, same here. Market in general is good, but there are cases market doesn't work very well. Okay, the first one is market failure, right? And if information is not perfect, then market doesn't work very well. Okay, that is the reason why the financial market, right? Information is not perfect. Some people have information, some people don't, right? And some people are very smart, some people may not be so smart, right? Because we are in the market, there's a lot of herding behavior, right? A lot of irrational behavior. So in that case, market may not allocate very well. Okay. And of course, you may ask why we care about market well or not well, because at the end of the day, market will adjust to the equilibrium, right? But a lot of time before you adjust to equilibrium, then you can make profit, right? Because you suppose the price is higher than the equilibrium, then you can just sell it, short sell it. If lower than that, you can buy it, right? That's what the value investing is, right? It's what the Warren Buffett tells you, right? So you will try to exploit those things, right? Because market in equilibrium, but it takes time to go to equilibrium, right? Because last time, right, you asked me, some of you asked, okay, what is the efficient market hypothesis, right? And you can imagine the following, right? Is look at the stock market. You have demand and supply, right? In general, the market is here, is efficient, right? But now there is some shock to the model. Maybe some people like it, demand just shift, right? Why demand shift? Maybe economy is going to do well. People expect it's going to do well, the price is going to go up, right? But the thing is, it takes time for you to arrive there, right? If efficient market hypothesis is that this adjustment is very fast, then you cannot make any profit. And we know that, I mean, sometimes it's fast, but sometimes it takes quite a while, right? But by this, even though the market is efficient, right, you take time with the financial market, right? And some of the time, the stock is mispriced, okay? And we said sometimes market is incomplete, right? Not everything is getting traded. So for example, you cannot short sell the stock, right? So the stock cannot represent the current fundamental value, right? And that's the reason why you ask ourselves why the stock price go down so quickly, but the housing price drops so slowly, right? Look at the Japan, right? The stock price dropped in the 90s, but the housing price actually took them 30 years to go to the bottom. Why? Because they're difficult to short sell the house. Right? So the market is not efficient. It takes time. But if you know this is going to happen, then you can short sell some way to short sell the stock for the housing. Right? So it takes time for them to adjust. Right? And if you, look at the housing market in China, right? The stock price go down much earlier than the housing price. Right? So suppose you know, then you know when to go out, right? But that would be the thing, okay? And probably you ask, hey, there's so many smart money there, right? Why can't people just do it, right? Because later we'll argue that, short sale has a lot of costs, right? So that's why unless you have way to short sell, it's not that easy to benefit from that, right? But at least you know if you own some house, you can go out, right? So at least you know you are not going to invest in the risk that look in China, right? That would be something that you would be looking at. Okay, and the other thing I want to mention a little bit is about this slide. Okay, is the market friction. Okay, and I think this last slide before we break. Okay, so we say the market is so good, right? And then why we have recession or boom, right? Because recession means that a lot of time the economy is going very bad, keep going, and it's going good for a very long time. Why we have that, right? Why would it take a long time to take a recession, right? The market suddenly go very bad over one day, right? The stock market just crash. Why, right? Or why the market is good? Why the government need to intervene? Why we are given consumption voucher, right? Why we have that? Why would that happen? Okay, and that related to market depend on demand supply, and large part of demand not depend on. We talk about after this topic after the break. It's not about the current income, because your consumption not depend on your current income. Also depend on your future income, right? And then you cannot save. You cannot use all your money. That depend on saving, right? And saving, how much you save depend on how tomorrow is, right? If tomorrow is good, then you spend all the money in your pocket, right? That's more efficient, right? But that would be depend on the expectation, right? That's what the Keynes, John Keynes, right, the father of macro economics, they said in the time of crisis, people have low confidence, right? And when people have low confidence, they don't want to spend. If no one's spending and no one earn any money, then people have less money, and they're self-fulfilling thing, right? So that's why our central government now said no one in China is allowed to say anything negative about the economy. Okay. Well, it need not be bad, because maybe because of people would have go into the wrong belief. Okay. If everyone become very positive, then the economy will be doing good. That they call animal spirit or the herding, right? So whether it's good or bad, it depends. But that is why the macro we discussed in the last 3 topics, we talk about those. Okay, but that's a macro economy. But we're still in the micro. But that idea is expectation is important. But that will be talked about later. The next one is financial friction. Okay, and we just said one thing is the macro economy fluctuate little, but the financial market fluctuate a lot. Right? One day the stock price can go down by 200 points, or 1 or 2% or 3% even, right? Or sometimes 5%, right? You don't believe the company changing this way overnight, or the company did overnight, right? And why? Okay. One particular reason is what we call the financial market friction. That is actually all the recent research on macro or finance focus on this part is because financial market, although it's very efficient, we say among all the market, financial market already is most efficient. But still, there are a lot of information asymmetry there that makes everything very complicated. What does that mean? It means that the financial market tend to amplify what happened in the real economy. What does that mean? It means that the stock market tends to overreact or underreact. That means that what? You can make profit. Okay? Because just like suppose the economy is going by 10% up tomorrow, next year, say. Okay? It's possible that along this financial market friction, okay, later I'll say more, it will amplify. The stock market go up like 20% before it go back to 10%. Okay? So it go up and down. Okay? Let me put it this way. So the stand you will see is like this. Okay? This is time. This is in GDP growth or the stock market. Okay? And this is now. This is next year. Tomorrow. Okay? Maybe next year will be better. Next year. Okay? GDP may be here to here. Okay? But the stock, maybe I write GDP, right? But the stock market, suppose this and flat, okay, put it this way. And the stock market can be like this. Okay, overshoot. Okay? And that should make money. Okay? It amplify. Okay? The stock market actually go faster than they go back. Okay? That's why you can see why you see there's a slightly good news of the economy. The US market shoot like crazy. And one day or two, those people go to normal, right? Because look at news anchors say, oh, the market overshoot, overreact, so it return to normal. Why? There's a reason behind it. There's a formal model behind why they magnify this. Why they magnify this, I just say about this with a break. It's because of all this thing. There's a lot of paper talk about those. Research paper, I'm not going to talk about those. Is something like credit constraint. Credit constraint is very simple to understand. Is firms try to do business, have to borrow money, but how much they can borrow is limited by collateral, right? So because the credit market is inefficient, and this will amplify the shocks, right? You can imagine the standard case is now happen in China, right? A lot of firms actually borrow based on collateral on the factory or the stock, right? When this market goes down, right, the collateral value goes down. What happens is, in that case, income goes down. What happens? It will be the bank will call the loan, right? And they have to fire sell their stuff, right? Once they fire sell their stuff, actually will depress this market further, and this bank will keep call loan for other people, and this will what we call the financial contagion, right? Because one thing will spread out like crazy, right? So that's why, I mean, you see the central government, right, try to stop the evergreen thing being bankrupt, right? Try to stop it because of this will magnify. Okay, so fluctuate will magnify, right? And also same as how evergreen expand, right? He just have something collateral keep going on leverage, right? Because financial market allow a lot of leverage goes on, right? So that's why things goes on, and there's a lot of information asymmetry, market imperfection, right? And there will be a lot of magnifying, okay? And not just magnifying as well, but anyway, let me stop here, and we will talk about the next topic next. I skip some of the technical thing in this slide, but I think that is okay. If I don't talk, then I'm not going to ask any question on those. Okay. So that's a break of 15 minutes, and then we come back.
3個人2個機器可以生產到10件嘢。咁你如果另外一個情況話，我可以有另一條友請4個機器，都係10件嘢，咁你連帶呢啲所有嘅，連帶所有點都 isocon。咁你點解 isocon 就係嗰個 optimal 點咧？就係話你啱啱呢個生產同你出邊嗰個 price 一樣，因為你呢個 isocon 代表你自己可以再喺生產產出不變嘅時候，你點樣交換任何嘢？係啊，當內部或者為你抄咗一條友換個機器，係啦，冇錯。嗰個就係你個 cost 嘅，譬如話呢條生產成本不變之下，你換人或者你請一個人，你俾 W 蚊㗎，你請一個機器 W 蚊。相交嘅點就係，因為你譬如話簡單嚟講啊，就譬如你喺度啦，譬如你喺呢一點啦，你呢條上啦，咁如果你唔用咁多 labour 嘅，咁你用翻少少 capital 就可以做同樣嘢。咁但係你嘅成本低咗，即係呢個貴啲㗎嘛，你本來要呢度同一個，佢只係呢度點夠，咁咪一路咁減，你請少人，請太多人，佢減少到嘅。因為你係內部同外部嘅 trade off 啫嘛，你呢度係公司裏邊自己可以換幾多人，你嘅成本真係可以換人，你成本係咁你就換人，用幾多 labour capital 就係咁呢條線就係出邊去市場請幾多人咁樣機器，咁兩邊就係一定 equal 嘅，如果你唔 equal 嘅話，你嘅辦法可以唔劃嘅，因為你唔同一條喺度咁有呢個平衡咁 carry 嘅話咧，你越 carry 越低嗰陣時，佢一路就多，因為呢條線就落嚟講。即係呢個係人嚟緊，呢個就係高多級你越大，你計呢啲工程可能大係越大呢個點樣咯？即係你往呢邊講係點？要好。total cost 係你唔同嘅 combination 係唔同㗎，譬如話你呢度2.5咁啦，因為呢個係2.5乘10嘅，咁呢度係譬如話4嘅，咁係咪4乘10？咁有呢個我哋嚟講，俾你呢個4嘅，咁咪呢個4嘅，你得2.5，你越我越貴咯，因為多咗人嘛，因為你個 waste 同 capital 都係個成本嚟㗎嘛，你越多咪會，但係咪會越來越嗰條線上面個成本一樣喎，咁你一路咁樣 move 呢條嚟講，咁你梗係揾個最呢啲生產咁多啊嘛，咁啊，咁就咁樣 move 到最近嗰個地方，即係你一路咁樣做越嚟越貴咯，最近嗰點實在就係。
So I guess so I guess let's summarize a little bit what we see. Although this is a little bit very technical thing here, some technical thing here, but I hope that I give the framework that how we can conduct analysis on a market, and I would try to streamline the slides so that I try to put technical on the things that I didn't cover, so that and then up to newer version, then you see what I have covered. I put technical thing on the technical, but mainly the idea is try to see the demand supply analysis that you might have learned in the principal class, and how things changes, how they're related, and give the foundation how they're related, right? Because it is very weak to say, okay, demand shift and supply shift and price, how this changes. But we have to know what drive the changes and understand what's going on there. Okay, and why we spend all the time on a lot of time on utility and maximization problem, because that underlines how we understand uncertainty and understand trade-off between present and future that we will talk about. Okay, and this is many of you may have heard this SWOT analysis and Porter 5 force, and that also we asked from for your case study, and how it related to what we see, right? And look at the classical work is called the SWOT analysis. So that's what refer to strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, and basically nothing but good, bad, inside, outside, right? Strength and weakness is good and bad inside. Opportunity and threat is good and bad outside. Okay, so and it's not the credit for me, but Michael Porter, right, who said, okay, that is not economics, there's nothing, right, because good, bad, inside, outside, what's that, right? So he actually go into more deeper who define the 5 force, right, and probably some of you will know, right, depend on the rivalry, right, it depend on the other firms, right, depend on the supplier power, buyer power, right, supplier actually the cost structure, right, buyer is basically demand, right, supply and demand, right, threat of substitution is other good, right, if this is demand supply for your own market, right, and this is related market, that's long run is where the firm enter, right, and that is your competitor, right, it's the same market, right, this is your own, right, so that actually is a econ concept, right, so that's why I mean this, I think Porter gives you a more systematic way to think, right, and of course that I guess is you can easily communicate with people, but this is not quite great compared to you actually understand the demand supply, right? Because this is still actually nothing but this, right? At the end of the day, right? The competitive rivalry tells you how your demand curve is being. How can you draw that, right? The buyer and buyer power, seller power, fed of entry, this kind of thing actually can enters directly, right? Of course, if you want to do the qualitative analysis, you can do 5 Porter or SWOT. That's why I asked you, right? But if you want to go deeper, how this thing actually get into calculation, right? You do 5 Porter, then so what? What's next? Right? You can do that. There's no problem. I mean, you should do that as well. I mean, for preliminary analysis. But at the end of the day, you should also go back to do this directly, because you can tell how exactly what the quantitative impact, right? There's more qualitative, right? You can just say whether the firm is green, okay, not okay, right? But still, you have to go a little bit deeper, right? to see how much a profit they are going to make, right? What is the things changes? I mean, if you don't go into this, then I don't know what you're saying, right? You have to tell, I mean, what might be the profit, what might be the outcome, right? Without doing that, you just say, okay, the buyer power is very strong, the rivalry is the threat is very moderate, then okay, I don't know how much you can go. I mean, of course, you can say yes or no question, right? Whether the firm is going there, but it's not going to tell you too much about whether you can say the stock price is going to go up or down, maybe you can do that. But how much go up or go down, you can't tell. Or what is the expected price, you can't tell, right? But you can see they're related, right? There's not something like they're completely unrelated, right? But for SWOT, we can't really read the economics, right? Because it's just good, bad, inside, outside, right? Still, this is saying something about economics, right? But we can go a little bit deeper. So basically, I think this framework basically gives you a even deeper understanding of that one, more quantitative, right? You can't go quantitative, right? You can say, okay, rivalry, I take the weighting of 5, supplier, I take weighting of 4, so on and so forth. You cannot have a score comes out, right? You cannot have quantitative measurement. Okay. I hope that I convince you why we do all this crazy thing there. Of course, you were not going to do that. You will have an economist working for you to do that as an investment banker or the financial. But you should see what's behind the estimation. Okay. And all the math I'm not going to talk about. Just I put there because someone might ask calculus, then they can study. So not going to talk about those. So the remaining 20 minutes, I talk about uncertainty in temporal choice. And some of you said, look at the slide, looks all the foreign language to you. Don't worry, because we just give the notation to give you why we're doing that. Okay. I will try to cut out things that is too technical for you, but I still keep there in case you want to study. Okay. So the third topic is two things. We have two things: choice under uncertainty, and we have intertemporal choice. Okay. With that, at the end, we'll give you the beta pricing equation. That is what you learn from the investment class. Okay. So we'll give you the foundation for the more or less like the CAPM model. Okay. But it's not equilibrium yet, but there will be something related to what you learn. Okay. And I don't think I have time to talk about intertemporal choice, but at least I should have time to talk about uncertainty there. There's something that is not surprise to you because probably you have learned a lot of terminology called risk aversion, right? Risk aversion is people don't want to take risk, right? And then we'll define that as well. And second is what expected utility. And what's that is how people evaluate, make choices when things are not certain. Okay. And the third one is called risk premium. This actually related to the idea why related to the why stock have higher return than bond, because we are taking risk of doing that. Okay, but anyway, we will talk about that. But in the temporal choice or beta question, we'll talk about next class. So at least we'll focus on the first one. Okay, as we said, I will try to the technical detail. I will little bit quicker, unless you want me to go further. Okay, and the idea is how people make decision when they are looking at uncertainty. If I don't know the future, how can I make choice? So that's a question, right? I mean, the question is, how can I know whether I should invest stock A or not? Okay, how can we do that? How do I do that? How do you do that? So suppose the case now, I have I don't know, we have Okay, tomorrow, not tomorrow, Monday, the stock market open. Okay, suppose you have, I don't know, you have what stock, whatever stock you have. So the question is whether you want to buy or sell that particular stock, right? Suppose you have, I don't know which stock you like, Tesla, say, okay, so Tesla. So you want to buy, or if you have Tesla, you want to sell. How do you make a decision? But you don't know, right? Suppose the price goes up tomorrow, you buy, right? If going down, then you probably will sell and buy later. But how can I know? How do you make a decision? How do you make a decision to buy a particular stock? Scenario analysis. Yes. Okay. And how scenario guides your decision? Yes. So basically what propose is you propose certain kind of scenario, different kind of scenario, and you try to look at this scenario, what you do, this I don't want to do, this I don't want to do, and then you would tell which scenario might be more likely, and then you do decision, right? It's exactly what's behind. That is scenario analysis. Okay, we assign probability. Okay, and there's a huge of simplification here is in this framework we focus on is we standard idea of B.B.A probability. We know what might come out. Okay, there are no outcome that will surprise us. Okay, okay, and we know probability that which associated with each outcome. What surprised us maybe this actually comes out. It's not why this comes out. Okay, we just say okay, this way unlikely, but it comes out. Okay, just imagine the following question. Okay, you toss a coin. Okay, what you can know is either your head or tail. Okay, you don't expect a rabbit comes out, right? If magic comes out, it's a magic show, right? So it's no magic show there. Okay, it's only you were surprised whether the coin is head or tail. Okay, are you surprised maybe head comes out? Maybe surprised by tail comes out. Maybe the coin is unfair, more likely to be head, but turn out tail is fine. But it has to be head or tail. You know what? That's a two outcome. It cannot be a rabbit or a tail. Toss a coin, it become an apple. No. Okay, and you can tell how likely you have a head, how likely you have tail. Okay, that is the idea behind. Of course, it's very restrictive framework. Okay, there are other frameworks that can generalize this, but we're not going to talk about those. We're focusing on a very classical way. Okay, so this classical way is like this. Okay, we have what we call the probability tree. Okay, there's a lottery. Okay, just casino there. Either your probability P, you get X1, you got P, 1 of P, X2. So this is what we model the future, just a tree. Okay, either X1 or X2 with some probability. Okay, it can have more than two outcomes, but just for simplicity, because on two. And that is the ideal lottery. Okay, just we have outcome and probability. That's lottery. That's definition. Is that clear? It's nothing deep, right? That's what we call scenario analysis. Scenario 1, you get X1. Scenario 2, you get X2. The probability of scenario 1 is P. Scenario 2 is 1 minus P. Simple. Okay. Now, one thing that we would care is the expected value, right? That is, things you learn will be just you multiply the probability by the number, right? That gives you the expected value. Okay? You will ask what's this one? This is the value that if you keep doing this lottery many times, this is the average value you got, right? This you learn from probability class, right? Long one frequency, right? Just repeat this lottery. Okay? But of course, you just do once in the world, right? But just imagine that you repeat this many times. This is what you expect. This is what you will average out, this average value, right? Suppose like this way, right? 3 and negative 1. That means what? Half of, if suppose you have 1 million times of this, 500,000 will be 3, 500,000 will be negative 1. So average of this is 1. right? Because 50 million of free, right? And 50 million, half a million of free, and half a million of -1. Okay, so that's give you 1. Okay? So this expected value. Okay? And now next we define what's the fair. Fair is rather simple. Fair means that the expected value is 0, then it's fair. Right? Means that in the long run, low loss, low gain. Okay, you go to casino, on average, you don't lose, you don't gain, it's fair. Right? If on average you play a long time, you lose money or you win money, that's not fair. Okay? That's unfair. Okay? And to say first, casino is always unfair. Okay? I think casino is you will lose on average for every $100, you will lose 40 cents. Depend on which type of casino game you're looking at, but you're losing $1 per 100 round on average. Okay? But anyway, so we talk about preference in the first, right? So we can also do the preference of a lottery. Okay? Because in that case, look at this one. Okay? You have 3 and 1 equal likely. Okay? And you have 0.1 of $20 or 0.0, 0.9 you get 0. Okay? Which one you prefer? Okay? Look at what's the expected value of this one? 2. Right? What's the expected of this one? Also 2. Same. Okay? If you play this many times, you don't have any preference. Okay? Suppose I pay 1 billion times, you pay 1 billion times, I'm the same. But suppose I just pay once. Which one you prefer? No right or wrong answer, but what you prefer? It depends. So what depends what? Okay, it's always right to say what it depends, but the question is follow up. Depends on what? Both are fair. Both are same value. Both will give same value. Give you $2. Okay. You like this one? Okay. Who like this one? Who like this one? Who like this one? Okay. So if you like this one, you can go to Satin or Macau. That will fit you very well. Okay. And in general, most people will do this one because of this is less variance, right? If you learn finance, you learn investment class. Right? I think investment class teach you this, right? Expected value same. Look at variance, right? The variance of this is lower than this one, right? You would do this one, right? Because risks are worse. And variance is a measurement of variance, right? Based on risk when they're same expected return, right? So that is it, right? And it's in general, and from experimental result, in general, most people would do this one. But of course, it depends in the sense that if this is very large, then people might go for it, right? Because that's why we buy lottery, right? Is why that's the case. If you learn statistics, there's one term we call skewness. Everyone knows skewness? Okay? This is positive skew. This is a metric. Okay? Recent finance research show that people not just care about mean and variance. One thing is very important is skewness. Why? Look at what we call the crazy stock like the GME, the Google, Tesla, early days. Is because people would expect they may go crazy. So you have a high premium for those. Okay? So this is, I mean, skew, right? But anyway, so we will be very quick, right? So I'm not going to explain. I think it's okay to say compare and transitive, right? Compare means you can always compare lottery. Transitive, you can say lottery 1 better than lottery 2, 2 better than 3, and 1 better than 3. Okay? I think it's fair. I mean, I'm not going to repeat that. That's why it's good to talk about those in the beginning, right? So everything very straightforward, okay? And continual preference on lottery, same idea, right? Continuous means that something changed a little bit, you still do the same thing, right? In this case, you prefer the upper one, x over y, right? So there's x and y the same as before, right? Suppose a case, right? Or you prefer this over this, okay? Doesn't really matter, okay? Suppose I upper better than lower. I change a little bit. You still, if you prefer upper to lower, here, same. If you prefer lower to upper, the same. Okay? Basically, I don't want to go to detail, but basically change a little bit, you still do the same. Okay? So just like, I'm not going to give example, not correct. So independence is very simple. I don't say, probably not so simple, but the following, okay? Suppose you prefer x to y, okay? Suppose you prefer to x, prefer to lottery 1 over lottery 2, okay? Okay? Maybe say suppose you prefer Mark 6 over horse racing, okay? Say, right? And now I will say I have half of time I give you Mark 6, half of time I send you to Macau, right? Better than half of time I go to, I forgot. Same, right? So it's basically just like I just do something extra will not make a difference. Okay, is that clear? So that is mixing will keep the same. Okay, and here I don't want to go to detail, but the key point is compound lottery is in general you can have lottery over lottery. Okay, say suppose I toss a coin. If head, then you pay bad jack. If tail, then we play big and small. Okay, rolling a dice. Okay, and that's compound lottery, right? Lottery over lottery. Okay, and there's an axiom we call reduction. Although the math look crazy, okay, but what you don't care about the math, which I think you don't care. So it just you don't care how you get the money. You just care the money you get. Okay? You don't care the money is coming from blackjack or big and small or what. I just care about final money I get. Okay? I don't care about process. I don't get any gain from doing lottery. Okay? I just basically like this. Okay? Get the x1. Either you can get full q times p, or I can get full 1 minus q times p prime. x2, I can only get q times 1 minus p. Right? I get x3 will be just multiplied by that. Okay? So that is the 3 means. But I'm not going to go into detail, but just this is the assumption that people don't care about how you get to the outcome, just care the final outcome. Okay? That's what it says. This is too technical to talk about this, but that is a definition. Okay? And just to emphasize, when I say math, that means you don't have to worry about it, right? The definition is individual care about the final product outcome. That's what I meant. Okay. So why is important here? Okay. Why I have this kind of crazy assumption, right? We have independence and reduction, right? Independence means I add something, doesn't change, or I simplify the lottery, doesn't change. The reason is very simple. The reason is I can have a utility function. Okay? In particular, I don't need to care about uncertainty. I will look at how I evaluate a lottery. It's very simple. Scenario analysis. Look at this scenario, what's utility from that? The other scenario, what utility from that? I just add them up weighted by probability. So the example, maybe I should get here. Maybe make it simple. Maybe I should get an example here. Okay. So it's very simple. Look at this example. Half of the time, I get $1. Half of the time, I get 0. Maybe the original, right? 3 or 1. Make it. Okay. Okay. So you just need to tell me that how much utility I get if I have $3. How much utility I get $1. Okay. And how I look at this lottery. Okay, I do scenario analysis here. And then how I think about this is the probability times this guy, half of U3 plus half of U1. That is called the expected utility theory. Simply means you don't care about utility or probability. Look at the outcome. Each outcome, think about it certain. How much you can get it. Okay? And you just multiply by probability, add them up, is how you would evaluate your performance. Okay? That's underlying what happened you do in the investment class. Everything is there. Okay? Otherwise, how can we choose which stock to buy or sell? Right? And particular, why this is important compared to what you learn from the basic investment class, right? The basic investment class is $3 is just free, $1 just one, right? But you are free, you are one need not be linear. In general, it's not linear. Okay? We'll say if this is risk averse, it's not linear. Okay? Because in the classical case, right, you will be assuming in the investment class is $1 is $1, $2 is $2, $2 is 2 times better than $1. Right? But in general, it's not true. Right? Especially in the risk idea. Okay? Unless you are risk neutral, which most of us are not. Okay? $2 is usually less than 2 times of $1. Okay? It's not linear. Okay? So that means that our calculation have to be a little bit different, right? Because why? As we said, right? It depends, right? Because remember the question, right? Remember the other case is 0.1 of U20 plus 0.9 of 0, right? So unless you say $1 is 1 happy, $2 is 2 happy, then same for you. Okay? If you think $20 is not 20 times of 1, then you prefer the above to below. Okay? So that is the things that behind. Okay? But okay. So that is expected utility. Okay? And this is what it means. Okay? I have a lottery, have Px, probably P of X, 1 minus Y. And I have another lottery, P prime of X prime, 1 minus P prime is Y prime. Okay? My utility over the L with probability times utility of X, 1 times probability of Y. So that's what it means. And U prime will be like this, P prime times U prime and 1 minus P prime times Y prime. If we prefer this over this, that means that this must be bigger than this one. So that means that we can do scenario analysis, right? Look at this scenario, how you think about your preference, your payoff under this scenario, right? Average out, right? That will be how you evaluate different opportunity, okay? And we will, next class, we will try to give you the idea why you have mean, under what condition, the classical way you do mean variance minimizer, optimizer is correct. It's very restrictive, but we'll tell you why it is correct. And we will tell you the at the end of the day, we will tell you this pricing formula. Okay, how the price of assets, okay, depend on discounted cash flow without risk and adjust for the risk. Okay, this is the equation, and also give you the last one, the asset pricing formula, beta pricing equation. The return for particular assets is the risk-free rate plus some risk adjustment. Okay, so this actually can coming from consumption optimization, how consumer make choices, and that's different from the thing you learn in the investment class, because they don't give you the foundation why this is right, and there's some slightly different between the classical approach and the approach we propose here. Okay, this is what we call the consumption cap M. We got different from the cap M you learn in the investment class. So just give you the foundation why we all doing this kind of thing, because at the end of the day, this M thing is related to utility. Okay? But we'll talk about this next class. I will see you next year. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.